Well, good morning, everyone. It is 9:30 a.m. So we're going to call this meeting to order, and we're going to start with roll call. And I'll start with Mayor Iveson.
Yellow.
Good morning. Councillor Banga.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Cartmel.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Katarina.
Yes.
Good morning. Councillor Zadek.
Good morning, Councillor Mack.
Good morning. Councillor Esslinger.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Hamilton.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Henderson.
Yep, morning.
Good morning. I am here, last I checked. Councillor McKean.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Nickel. I think I heard you over the phone, but we'll just double check.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Paquette.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Councillor Walters.
I'm present, Councillor Nack.
Thank you. Good morning. Excellent. So everyone is here today, and we'll kick it off with adoption of the agenda. Councillor Esslinger?
So moved. There's an addition of item 6.4.
Yes, and we're calling, what is
Second.
Thank you. Councillor Bang is seconding it. We'll just get a name so everyone knows what we're at.
Well, Council Chamber Ergonomics, and just a reminder that we don't need a seconder at committee.
Oh, yeah, this is my first time, apparently. Thank you, Councillor Banga, and I completely forgot anyway. So, Council Chamber Ergonomics, thank you. Then please vote using
Yes.
eScribe, right? We're using eScribe today? Good. Although I say it, and then I'm not fully signed in.
I'll vote yes, Councillor. I don't have my eScribe with me at the moment. That's okay.
I'm also a yes, since I'm in the same situation as Andrew.
Very good. I'm just opening mine up, and I will click my vote as soon as it opens. Or maybe I won't.
We're still missing a few. Mayor Iveson?
I'm in, but the vote's not coming up, so I'm a yes.
Councillor Cartmel?
Yes.
Councillor Henderson?
Yeah, no, I just opened it up, but I'm not seeing the vote.
Same here, so I'll vote yes.
Thank you. That's all the votes.
Please display the votes. And that is carried unanimously. Next up, adoption of the minutes.
I'll move those.
Thank you, Councillor McKean. That's the January 21st, 2020 Council Services and the February 11th, 2020 Code of Conduct Subcommittee.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Then please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Councillor Zadek?
I voted yes on eScribe successfully, I thought.
That's all the votes. Thank you.
Excellent. Please display the vote. And that is carried unanimously. Protocol items, I don't have any. Happy U.S. Election Day. Is that a thing? I don't think it's a thing. We won't formally document it.
We'll see.
Yeah, we sure will. But today, this morning, we have other business to attend to, and we'll have selection of items for debates. And I don't know if the speakers list is open to select those items for debates. It is opened, so please click in if you want to select items for debate. Mayor Iveson.
Sure, I'll select 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, and 6-4.
So everything has been selected by Mayor Iveson, and there are no status reports, so there we go. So Councillor Esslinger, sorry, you don't get to select anything. Mayor Iveson took it all. So we will not vote on reports not selected for debate because there are none. Requests to speak, there are none. Really? For council services? None? Oh, it's too bad. Requests for time specific on the agenda. There are none. So we'll go in order, which is items 6.1 and 6.2, which will be dealt with together. And we'll do items 6.3, 6.4. Any councillor inquiries? I don't recall getting any, so We'll assume that's a no. Well, there we go. So we're up to items 6.1 and 6.2, which are being dealt with together. The Code of Conduct Gifts and Benefits and the Integrity Office Annual Report 2020. So, are we doing, we're not going to do a presentation again, I don't think. Ms. Pytel, you weren't planning on doing another?
No, I'm here to get feedback on the annual report, I suppose, and some direction going forward, if there is any, on the two items, the gifts and benefits and a possible social media guideline or policy.
Perfect, thank you.
Happy to answer questions on that.
There was no presentation from the admin side, nothing added, no. Perfect, so the speakers list is now open then, and what we'll do is, because Mayor Iveson did select that, we will start with him on items 6.1, 6.2, and everyone else can click into eScribe if you want to join in. Mayor Iveson?
I'm happy to defer to Councillor Esslinger for a motion. She had indicated one was coming forward on this, so I'm happy to yield on this.
Sure. Councillor Esslinger? Oh,
I was just wanting to do the motion as listed in 6.1 to update our gifts and benefits. Then I'm happy to move that. I do also have a question regarding the social media discussion, because one of the things that was recommended was that we look at a social media policy. And so I just would ask administration, what would that entail? Or do we have some comparables from other cities in place, or where would we go from there?
Yeah, Councillor Esslinger, it's Jamie Pytel. You had asked me to get some comparables, which I've been doing all along, and I've been working on finding out what other jurisdictions are doing, with the understanding that there is an overarching question across the country about councillors' conduct on social media. So I'm happy to work with administration and give them all of the data that I've gathered on that and the research and background on it.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure as a process, do we refer that to administration to come back, or how would that happen?
well, I think, so you want to do the recommendation in 6.1, and then this would really be, I think, subsequent to 6.2, so, or actually could be in place of the motion for 6.2, I believe. Yeah, I'm seeing some nodding heads. So why don't we see if there's any other questions, and in the meantime, see if there can be some wording put together or a proper strategy for what we would do in place of the motion on 6.2. And we'll come back to that after questions, although I'm not seeing anyone else on the speakers list. So why don't we take a moment? Oh, there we go. Councillor McKean saved us, so we have a bit of time. If that's okay, Councillor Esslinger, what we'll do is we'll accept the motion from you on item 6.1, and we'll take questions, and then we can do 6.2 separate for the motion. Is that reasonable?
Thank you.
Perfect. Councillor McKean?
Yeah, I guess on that very point, what we would do with a code of conduct and social media policy, I don't know if we actually disbanded the committee, but the committee maybe could meet on that to look at any of the research that Ms. Pytel has done, and then maybe bring back recommendations on. I've been struggling with this, thinking about it myself, about whether or not a public figure, an elected official, should be able to block a troll, because you could have nefarious bad actors that are only out to undermine one's credibility or reputation. And it seems to me at some point there's a line where blocking somebody might actually be justifiable. So, but I think that's the kind of stuff that has to be kicked around a little bit in a committee and with recommendations brought back to council. So that would be my suggestion on that, but I'd be certainly welcome. Administration, maybe even Ms. Giebricht or Ms. Beaudry would know whether that committee still has status.
Thank you, Councillor. It does actually still have status, and so if that's something that you would like, this committee could refer this report for a further discussion on the social media policy, and I believe the Integrity Commissioner has some information that she could provide there, and we could work on the policy, and then when it's ready, bring it up to Council for approval.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to make that motion that this matter of a social media policy sitting under the Code of Conduct be referred to the Code of Conduct Subcommittee of Council for deliberation and recommendations. And I hope somebody caught that.
Yeah, thank you. What we'll do is I see some folks frantically typing right now. So we'll finish up questions of both of these items. Then we will do Councillor Esslinger's motion in 6.1, which is the recommendation. And then if that's okay, I can come to you for that motion in 6.2.
Certainly, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions, so what I will do is just double check one last time. I know there are a few folks who aren't on eScribe, so any folks who aren't on eScribe that have any questions? Hearing none. Anyone wishing to speak to we're just going to vote on the recommendation in 6.1, which is that Council Services Committee recommend to City Council that administration return to City Council with an amendment to bylaw 18483, Council Code of Conduct, to delete section 1G2 of Part L, Gifts and Benefits. I'm not seeing anyone on the list. I'm not seeing anyone speaking up. Councillor Esslinger, do you have any closing comments on the recommendation that we just read out?
No, this is the recommendation based on the feedback from council, so I think it's a way just to streamline and clean up the bylaws. So,
excellent. Well, thank you. Then let's all call the votes. Please vote.
Yes. Iverson.
Yes. Walters.
Mayor Iveson, could you confirm that you were a yes, please?
Mayor Iveson? I think we had heard you, but we want to just get clarification. Are you a yes? Are you still with us, Mr. Mayor?
I distinctly heard him say yes.
I feel like I had heard him, but is he not on the meeting?
I heard him say yes as well.
He's off the list of parts. Oh, there's the mayor again. Mr. Mayor, can we just get confirmation? We think we heard you say yes, and then you left the meeting.
Yes, I'm having connectivity issues, sorry.
Nope, that's fair, thank you. Are those all the votes? Then please display the vote. And that is carried unanimously. Do we have wording for item 6.2?
Yes, we have wording for a referral motion. We'll put it in eScribe.
Perfect. So that motion is going to go up for folks to see, and we'll let Councillor McKean read it once if you can see that, Councillor McKean, do you want to read that out?
Yeah. The development of a draft social media policy for City Council be referred to the Code of Conduct Subcommittee for discussion and possible recommendations to City Council.
Okay, great. So I'll accept that motion, and we'll take a moment to see if we have anyone who wants to ask about that. Ask questions first.
The Code of Conduct Subcommittee, can it report to Council? Shouldn't it come back through Council Services?
We do have a few questions as folks have come up. So I'm going to start with Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, just a quick question, whether or not the recommendations should go to council or come back to this committee.
That was the exact question I was just asking the clerk. I think it has to come back to Council Services, and Council Services can recommend it to Council.
Great. So if that's a friendly change, because that's the right order, we can make that adjustment. Is that friendly to everyone?
Friendly to the mover.
Perfect. Maybe I'll ask if there's any objections to that change. So instead of coming,
I think we'll have a better discussion of it here too when it comes back. So
thank you.
it's just easier. Great, thanks. That's it for me.
Thank you. So I heard no objection to that change, so it would be referred to the Code of Conduct Subcommittee coming through Council Services Committee before coming to Council. Great. Councillor Zadok, questions?
Yeah, thank you. While looking at comparables for other councils across the country, I just was wondering, and I guess I don't know who I'm asking, maybe I guess the mover. Would we be looking at what MLAs and members of parliament are subject to in their jurisdictions?
Ms. Pytel has said she started to do the work, and she might be the one to better answer this question as whether or not she has broadened into provincial and federal levels. But I can't make Ms. Pytel answer this, but might ask her that. But I think what would be I don't know if I have an opinion on that. I think the more information, the better.
Yeah, I agree. Sort of speaking to it in a manner, but I think we should just look at all jurisdictions. And question maybe to the mover, councillors and the mayor, I suppose, talk to traditional media a lot, and there's nothing to regulate our conduct and the content that we speak to the radio, television. So just why is social media different? Any thoughts around interactions with traditional media?
I actually tend to agree with you, Councillor Zadok, that the Code of Conduct speaks to the way we should focus on the issue and not personalities. But I think there's a specific issue here of blocking, and there might be some other issues that are different. It is certainly a bit of a wild, wild west on social media. So I think it's worthy of the committee's time to dig into it a little bit and worthy of consideration, especially this issue of blocking, which I'm sort of ambivalent on, to be honest. But so that's the specific difference, I think, between traditional media and social media.
Okay, and since we're looking at this, do you think that we should expand the scope to look into traditional media, or just leave it at social media, given its uniqueness?
I think that the balance of the Code of Conduct speaks to the way our words that we display in other forms of media. But I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about this. The blocking of participants on social media is the issue that jumps to mind for me in the difference between traditional media and social media.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I get that. Okay, no more questions right now.
Thank you. I don't have anyone else on the list, but again, I know there are a few folks not on eScribe. Any folks not on eScribe have questions? I'm not hearing anyone. I will go to Councillor Esslinger.
I just want to speak to it when it's appropriate.
Sure, I'll just double check. I'm not hearing anyone. And do we, there was a note in the chat around, do we need to schedule a meeting through this motion, or can that be done separately by the chair of the?
If you can just give us some general direction to schedule that meeting, and then we can take the next steps to make sure that's done.
Okay.
But if we're just looking at timing for like December 2020.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're asking when we would schedule that? Or
yeah, just getting an idea of the expectation of when the Code of Conduct Subcommittee would like to meet. I'm assuming that would be later this year.
As the mover, Councillor McKean, did you have any particular thought around that when you were hoping this motion to first come back to that committee? Just before I go to Councillor Esslinger to speak.
Might reveal that you should give more thought before you make a motion. Some of these details were not top of mind for me. I would say that it would be prudent for the subcommittee to meet at least once before the next meeting of council services. And I don't know when the next meeting of council services is scheduled for us, but I think there's a gap in time that would allow for at least one meeting of this subcommittee.
Okay.
And the next council services committee meeting is February 9th.
Okay. So we've heard a suggestion from the mover that this would be discussed before that point. So is that enough direction for you to then schedule? Okay, great. With that clarification, I'm not seeing anyone else on the list for questions. I do have Councillor Esslinger on the list to speak, so I'll go into speaking right now. Councillor Esslinger, go ahead.
Thank you, and I'm happy to support this motion. I think we need to look at it. We've seen social media change and over the last little while, and I think it's important if we are going to hold ourselves to a certain standard that we look at what's out there and then consider all the options. I wondered, should we have one? Should we haven't one? But I'd like to have the conversation to know what others are considering, what are the elements are needed to put in, and who or how are we going to hold people accountable. So I think it's worthy of a conversation. So I'm happy to support this as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm just checking to see if there's anyone else. I just got a note from Councillor Walters. He would like to speak. So you're up next, Councillor Walters. Go ahead.
Yeah, just very briefly, I think anything we can do to avoid any elected official from using social media to spread misinformation is a good step. So I'll support it. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't have anyone else on the list. Again, just seeing if anyone else who's not on eScribe wishes to speak. Not hearing any. Councillor McKean to close.
Yeah, no, I think this is a pragmatic step for us to take to see if we can clear up some of these issues. And I look forward to hearing of Ms. Pytel's environmental scan on this issue too. So I think this will give us a way forward on this very complicated issue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
We're just missing Councillor Paquette.
It should be coming through now.
Yes, thank you. That's all the votes.
Excellent. Please display the vote. And that is carried 12-1 with Councillor Zadok opposed. We will move on to item 6.3, eScribe next steps, verbal report. And I hear someone's phone answering, so I don't know if you need to get that, or preferably if you can make sure we're muted as we go through. Thank you. Although if you do get the phone, make sure you're definitely muted at that point. We're just pulling up a presentation, I think, from Mr. Beaudry is going to be providing us information on this. They're just bringing it up right now, everyone, so just a moment. We'll be ready right away.
Morning, councillors. So this is we do have a presentation here for the update on eScribe. It is probably worthwhile going through it, so that's what I will do at this point, unless there are any objections.
No, I think we'll get the presentation, okay. Please. Yeah.
So the first thing we'd like to address here is why we replaced the old technology. So SIRE was no longer supported by the vendor, and SIRE is what we used for the agendas and the minutes. MMSX, which is what we used for the votes and the motions here in council chamber, was 20 years old, and it didn't integrate with new technology. We also needed to create efficiencies in both meeting management and civic agency recruitment. There were times when where we used up to 15 solutions for meeting management and civic agency recruitment. Civic agency recruitment, by the way, was not addressed in Sire. So their processes were completely manual. They worked with spreadsheets and so on. It was time to upgrade that. And in keeping with the city's direction, we needed an out-of-the-box solution with no customization. So the search to replace the system started a few years ago. KPMG did some market research for us, and a review of the requirements came up with only one solution that would meet our needs, and that was eScribed. It allowed for a streamlined approach for creating agendas and minutes, managing meetings, and managing civic agencies. As in line with the requirements, it is an out-of-the-box solution. It offers remote capabilities, as you know, and it required internal process changes to fit the solution. So eScribe, there was a one-time implementation fee, which was $43,525. The support fees are $100,300 per year, and we have a 3-year contract. We are also paying $4,500 for 20 eScribe Meeting Pro app licenses, which is the app that councillors and ELT use, for a total contract amount of $348,925. This is a cost comparison between the previous system and the current or the go-forward annual costs. You'll see that in the previous annual costs were roughly $196,000 a year, and the go-forward cost with eScribe is roughly $121,000 per year. COVID affected the implementation of eScribe, much as it has affected everything else. We had to shift to virtual meetings, as you know. This required our shifting project resources to meeting management. We needed to use several tools, or we are using several tools during the meetings. eScribe, Google Chat, Google Hangouts, which is impacting technical capability. While eScribe accommodates remote participation, it wasn't really designed as a virtual meeting tool, right? And we think that some of the issues that we have faced with implementation may be related to the fact that we weren't able to train users face-to-face. So based on the meetings that we've done so far with councillors, and there are more to come, feedback has been mostly positive or neutral on eScribe. The most common concern was with the private session, going in and out to the public and private sessions, which is proving problematic, but which we think we have found a solution to. Diligent was also cited as a preferable document reader by some. We may want to do some additional training to address some of the outstanding issues. And as I said, we continue meeting one-on-one with the councillors. So our next steps are we'll analyze the feedback that we're receiving. We'll test the private session solution that we found, and hopefully we can get that in use, I would say, by next week. We did sign a contract for Diligent. It's only going to, the only licenses we are going to get are for councillors and our staff who need to put the agendas in the solution. Administration will continue to receive their agendas in eScribe. eScribe will be here, so staff from eScribe will be here, will be here virtually, I should say, for meetings on November 16th and 17th. They'll be able to watch and answer questions directly during the meetings. We plan to provide updates on new or enhanced features to you as they become available. The next release is currently scheduled for November 7th, which means that on November 9th, you should be seeing some new features in eScribe. We will, as I said, in an email, list the features we're expecting to see as enhancements in the iPad Pro app come next Monday. And that is it. Is there any questions? Happy to take them.
Thank you. Well, we'll make sure the speakers list is open while that's happening. Mayor Iveson selected it, so again, I'll go to him first to see if there's questions you'd like to ask. Or not. Oh, maybe. I don't see him unmuted right now, so I'll go to Councillor McKean first, and if Mayor Iveson wants to join in as the person that's selected, he can jump on the list too. So Councillor McKean.
Well, first of all, this morning demonstrates that it seems like maybe some of the younger people on council need some help with technology. Because I think everybody else has been okay with it, he said, with a little bit of a jab. I think the one thing that I noticed yesterday was that as we go from private to public, back to private, the voting mechanism can be a little bit convoluted, and you have to be in absolutely the right place. Is there a way around that?
Yes, we have been looking at solutions. What we plan to do is put all of the reports in the public session. This will mean that we will have to ensure that those that are private sessions are not posted to our website. But that is something that we were used to doing in Diligent. And that would make it so that you wouldn't have to go in and out of a session and be in the right session to vote, as you said, or to put your name on the speakers list. So I think that will address a lot of the issues that we're having now with the private and public session.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because you should be able to vote, period, it seems to me. And the other one was the clunkiness of trying to click on to the speakers list. It seems that you have to flick several buttons on your end to get us into the position where we can open the speakers list. And I don't know if there's a way around that, but that's the other common issue I see.
Yeah, so if we don't have to go in and out of the private session, the speaker, it should address some of the issues with the speakers list. I have to say, though, that, and we do appreciate your patience, but the system is a bit slower than MMSX was. And so there might be a delay of a few seconds before you can actually see a motion or vote on something or register for the speakers list. We're aware of those delays, and we try to mitigate them as best we can by being ready to push the buttons as soon as we can. But we do appreciate your patience in that. It is not as quick as MMSX was.
Yeah, that's fine. And I think we're all probably getting used to it. Is the developer, are we letting them know about these issues, and are there updates that are being made from the developer?
Yes, we do let them know what the issues are as they come up. We can and have made requests for enhancements to features. The enhancement requests are voted on by all eScribe users, and you have to reach a certain threshold before the enhancements will be put into effect, because it affects users across the country.
Interesting. Last question, and if there are updates we need to do on our iPad, will there be an email sent out, perhaps with a few instructions?
Yes. If there are, I don't think there are any you'll need to make for the coming refresh, but we will let you know if you do.
I think I heard that answer. Thank you very much, Mr. Beaudry.
So just to supplement what Mr. Beaudry's saying, the one thing that we don't have access to that I think has impeded your ability to participate is when you need to update your system password for the OC, the City of Edmonton email system. So we don't get notification of when you need to update your password, but if you log in one morning at 9:25 and the system says your password's expired, you will have to reset the system password, and that will definitely cause a delay with eScribe. So we can take that offline, and I can talk to OCT to see if they could send an email out 24 or 48 hours before that's going to expire, so that you're not caught shorthanded before the start of a council meeting.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Essinger.
Thank you. Overall, it's working pretty good, but it'd be nice to be able to have the countdown timer on your eScribe so you could see it. I'm not sure if that's possible.
That, and I hate to promise anything at this point based on the promises we made for the last update, but that should be part of the system upgrades that are made this weekend. You should also be able to see the speakers list and the motions. Yeah.
No, because I think that'll help us understand what's going on.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. That's all my
You're welcome.
questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Banga.
Thank you. I guess on eScribe there, I don't claim to be the expert, but at the same time, there were some things that concerned me the most. I did let Mr. Beaudry know during our feedback session a few days ago. And one thing I still am having difficulty with is when you click onto an item, say, let's say 6.1 today, and what happens is it shows you the resolution. If the resolution is smaller, it's only one line or so, then it shows. But if the resolution is 4 or 5 lines or multiple parts to it, then that does not show. I don't know if anybody has noticed that, but I am noticing it and see if there is a fix around it.
Have you tried, Councillor Banga, scrolling down to see if the rest of the motion would appear? Just using the scroll bar on the side, on the right, I believe.
No, I can't do it despite doing that.
How about using the
Councillor-
arrows on your keypad?
So Councillor Banga, we've raised that feedback with eScribe because the scroll bar is white on a white background, which makes it almost impossible to see. The one thing that we've noticed on the iPad is when the motion is live, if you actually double click it on your iPad, it pops into a new screen, so you should actually be able to see the entire thing. But what we'll do is we'll contact your office offline and we'll see if we can show that to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That sounds good to me. That's all my questions.
Thank you very much. I don't see anyone else on the list for questions, so I can take a motion to receive this report for information.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Nickel. And anyone wishing to speak to it? No? Please vote.
Yes.
Point of order, did I see the mayor on the speakers list? Is that an old thing?
Did I miss the mayor on that? Sorry, thank you for, Mr. Mayor, did?
Yeah, I was just clicking in to move the recommendation and speak to it, but that's okay.
All right, if you can still speak to it. We haven't started the vote yet.
Right. Well, just appreciate clerks bringing this information forward further to the feedback sessions. I think, this was clearly, and I think the background information is helpful for us too, to understand the need to replace some of these legacy systems that had not only some performance issues, but also sort of a shelf life, and it turns out, significant cost. And so I appreciate that this should bring us some cost savings. and over time, some greater integration for them on the back end as well in minute preparation. And I think we've done some good problem solving around the question of moving into private. And we were alluding to that yesterday, and that's come up again today. So I do think there are some workarounds that will help us get best functionality out of the system. And I just wanted to acknowledge that implementing this in a period where we're working from remote and where clerks have had to juggle an awful lot of other complexity in moving meetings online, particularly public hearings. I just appreciate that. Well, not entirely without a few bumps in the road. Overall, I think the rationale is sound for the change, and that the openness to feedback has been appreciated, and I think we'll have this running smoother and smoother as we get more used to it. So just thanks for the update and the background, and the willingness to take feedback from myself and members of council. So happy to support receipt of information.
Thank you. And again, sorry for missing you on the board there, but that gave time for Councillor Henderson to click in too. Councillor Henderson.
Well, it's actually just a quick question. If we decide we're not going to use diligence, should we let you? I'm wondering, given the cost of those licenses, if you need to hear from us whether we're going to use it or not.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So I think we'll wait. I'll have to wait and see how the private thing works, but I may not go back to diligence. So great. Thanks. Thank you.
Just checking if there's anyone else who wishes to speak. I don't see anyone on the list, but I'll take a second just to double check. And anyone on eScribe, or not on eScribe, who wants to speak. And good. Then now we'll call the vote.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're missing Councillor Paquette and Mayor Iveson. And just Councillor
Forgot to hit submit.
And Councillor Paquette, yours doesn't seem to be coming through.
Councillor Paquette? We have lost Councillor Paquette. I think. We'll just wait a second to make sure. I don't see him on the board. And he's not coming back in just yet. I'm trying to give him a few seconds in case he accidentally got kicked off. I think we will declare the vote. Let's display the vote. And that is carried 12-0. And that leaves item 6.4, which was newly added. So I don't know if there's comments from administration or the clerks, or if I'll go. I think this is raised between Mayor Iveson had raised a concern, but.
Yeah, maybe I'll start and then go to Aileen on process.
Sure.
I realize it's odd given that we're not using chambers as much, but those of us, at least not all of us are, but my experience, our meetings are getting longer and we're doing them all in chambers. So some of the ergonomic issues with our workspace are just starting to become a factor, and in particular, the chairs are getting quite old and probably need to be replaced at some point here. And it occurred to me that particularly with what we've got to work through here, we should look into replacing them sooner rather than later. I inquired what was residual in council's furniture budget, as well as what we might be able to contribute from here, notwithstanding the cuts we've already undertaken, whether this is something we could take care of. Because I've just noticed when I'm in my office here, where I have a decent chair, I'm able to endure the meetings a little bit better than when I'm down in chambers, where my chair is, several of the features on it are broken at this point, and I don't think we have replacement parts for them anymore. So I think it's time to look at a variety of ergonomics issues for council chambers with the change in technology and needs for the desktop computers. Perhaps those will be replaced with tablets or other devices to make best use of eScribe. So making sure that we've got some spread out space. I think that requires a little bit of a look as well. I think the chairs is a short-term fix. I think the workspace maybe requires a little bit more work to come up with some options that could perhaps be implemented either over the summer break or over the election break, when it's easier to make physical modifications to chambers. But I wouldn't want to wait, 5 more years before some of these things get addressed. And so, and given that we've got just a little bit of room in some of these budgets this year to maybe at least deal with it, to bring it forward. And this was just a conversation with clerks yesterday, so it's late breaking and verbal, but rather than spill into next year, I thought, if we could take temperature today on starting a bit of a evaluation of the desks, particularly if there's going to have to be plexiglass in place for a while. I know the sort of carrels are fairly tight, and so there may be some better answers for that, and for people to be able to work effectively when they are in chambers, as well as that again, that's probably a 2021 study question for us. So we could pass a motion authorizing some work to happen there in anticipation of some physical changes to the space next year and next budget. But if we could deal with the chairs issue this year, that would benefit all of us for at least the balance of the term, those of us who are coming in anyway. So that was the basis of adding the item to discussion. And I think Aileen has done a little bit of overnight research on this. Thank you for turning that around quickly, and also has some thoughts on the workspace and some of the issues that clerks has with the ergonomics of their area. So there's some admin-driven work for chambers as well, and ideally, if we deal with that all at the same time, it's likely to be more cost-effective, I would think. So those are the sort of context for this, and then probably Aileen has some more to say.
Okay, yeah, we'll go there before we go into any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in looking through our records, we found the mayor is quite correct. The chairs were last purchased in 2004, and it's not possible for us to fix the ones that are broken. The plexiglass that is put in place was a temporary measure that we put in early in the pandemic, and it's probably worth having a look at the ergonomics, assuming that the plexiglass needs to stay. So what we're thinking of doing is, if this is amenable to committee, is they could direct part of the common budget, if possible, for the ward budget, and the mayor could also look at supplementing that, as well as we could look at internally to see if we could get a small budget put together to replace the chairs. We're in early stages of looking at the estimates, but I'm sure we could scrape some money together between 3 different budgets. Regarding an ergonomic assessment, that would require having the councillors actually come in and having you sit at your workstations, but we would have to work with OHS and Building and Facilities Maintenance and Property Management to look at how this room could actually be reconfigured now that it is there's different technology requirements. Unfortunately, the predominant material that's been used in this room is concrete, and so it's not the cheapest room to amend, but we're prepared to take that task on and bring back recommendations if that's the will of committee, probably early in 2021. Planning out that work and finding resources would take some time. So in the short term, finding a solution for the chairs is probably the easiest thing we could look at right now.
Okay, thank you. So there's we'll count that as the presentation, and maybe I'll come back, Mr. Mayor, after some other questions. There might be a motion then on that, because I believe if it's over $1,000, that requires authorization, where if it's under, I can do that as chair of the committee.
The purchasing of chairs for this room will be over $1,000.
Yeah, no, so I'm saying we would require a motion today for that. So I see Councillor Henderson's on the list, and then maybe I'll come back to you, Mayor Iveson, to see if you have a motion already drafted for that. And but I'll go to Councillor Henderson first.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts, and I know we talked about this briefly, a couple of quick fixes that would give us more space, given that the real problem right now is we have to use a device to give us a camera. And it strikes me that given the fact that the main computer that we have is not terribly useful right now, if we could use that to actually be broadcasting our image, that would be probably its best use, and I think would be fairly inexpensive because I suspect we could attach a camera to those computers really easily. And that would save one device that we're now trying to cram into a space that is constrained by the plexi. And then the one other thing that I know a number of other councillors had already put the plexiglass to extend their desks in the past. I did not opt to do that at the time because I wanted to be able to see my screen on the big computer well. That necessity has now changed radically, and having that extra desk space. So I don't know if there's other people that would like to consider doing what some people did earlier on the season, in the term, by putting plexi. But those are two quick wins, because the real problem is just the space is getting unbelievably constrained when you have to have a computer and an iPad and your mouse, and you're still trying to find space to make notes. And I think if we could get cameras for anybody who wanted to attach to our main computer, that would save one device. And then simply, if we could get more of those glass counter extensions to the desk, that would make life a lot easier too. So just two things that I think could be fairly inexpensive that I'm wondering if we could look at.
So the cameras arrived this week and we started installing them. So thank you for that suggestion. So Councillor Walters might not have noticed we've already been testing it on his, and Denny and I had a walk around your areas this morning, and we're going to work with Aaron the carpenter to see if it's possible to put plexiglass over the top for those on the left-hand side. So we'll reach out to your offices, and if you'd like us to make that installation, we'll take care of that as soon as we can for you.
Yes, please. Thanks. That's it for me.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions, and that's probably wise because we don't actually have a motion, really. That was a verbal update. Mayor Iveson, do you have anything? Just, I know since you first raised it, can I go to you for the piece related to the chairs? Oh, you're on the list. There you are, Mayor Iveson. You are currently muted, Mayor Iveson.
Oh, sorry. I've got so far that administration conduct an ergonomic assessment of council chambers, workstations for council members, and that the residual council furniture common budget for 2020 be committed to replacing the chairs in council chambers as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Mayor Iveson. I'll accept that motion. And we'll I'll give a few moments just to see if people want to click in, and that motion has now been put in the chat for those who want to see that wording. So I'll take a moment to see if folks need to click in for questions, or again, if there's anyone not on eScribe right now that has questions, please speak up.
Just one other thought, Mr. Chair, is I'm not sure the right place to bring the ergonomic assessment back, whether we can get a memo on that, or whether those are sort of 13 separate conversations from an OH&S point of view, or whether they should come back to council services sort of as a group. I'm not sure what's most appropriate there. And
so what we'll have to do is we'll have to go away, and there is an online ergonomic assessment that can be done, but I also believe we're going to have to talk to the folks in-house. So I would make a suggestion that we'll come back to council services with what information we have to the meeting in February. And if we have additional information we can share with you beforehand, we can do so via memo.
I think if we have, if I can respond to that,
please
Mr.
go.
Chair.
Yeah, it's still your time. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
No worries. Then I think if we have the report back on the ergonomics issues and some options in February, and if we have used dollars available now to advance the chair issue in the interim, I think the chairs will make a huge difference, and then the plexiglass option for people who want it to expand that deck in the short term. I think that's a good mitigation as well for folks. And then the larger issue of other adjustments and the technology can be sort of assessed without as much haste. So if there's information in February, that's great. If it takes a little bit longer, again, anticipating more significant changes, if any would come, would be a summer or during the election period implementation.
Thank you. I'm just seeing it. So far, no one else has clicked on to ask questions, and there has been adequate time provided, so I will take that as a sign that we can move into any speaking to it, which was provided as an introduction. If there's anyone wishing to speak, I will just take a few seconds to let people click in if they have anything. And again, give people an opportunity, if you're not on eScribe, to speak up right now. This is your chance. I am not seeing or hearing anyone. Just wanted to give adequate time. I will then just double check with Mayor Iveson if you have any closing comments.
Nothing further.
Thank you very much. Then please vote.
Yes.
We have all the votes.
Please display the vote. And that is carried 12-0. Excellent. So that brings, there are no private reports. Any notices of motion? Hearing none, we are adjourned with an extra hour and a half for you to ponder life and think about the U.S. election, I'm sure. At least that's what I'm going to do in the next hour and a half of my life. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.